Business Moment of the Week. Brought to you by Black Powder Coffee, the official coffee of WSIC. This portion of the show will bring you a business tip based on what business owners are looking for when buying a small business. Presented by our very own award-winning industry expert, Joe Vagnone. It is time to maximize the value of your small business before you are ready to sell. Back to the studio, here's Joe Vagnone.
And thanks, Nikki. I appreciate that. I'm going to give you a tip. This is tip number 1, and I want you to understand these tips that I'm going to be giving you on a weekly basis. They are for the vision of tomorrow, which means you are looking for what a buyer would be looking for, or we're speaking about what buyers are going to be looking for. So I'm speaking to potential sellers on what they should consider as they're preparing their business, because someday, sooner or later, somebody else is going to own your business sooner or later. So tip number 1, here it is. It might surprise you. Do not do your own bookkeeping. I really want you to find somebody, a professional, to be able to do that work for you. A good buyer is always looking at the P&L and a balance sheet, and they're defining the personality of your business based on your P&L and your balance sheet. And most of you out there, I don't think, know how to interpret and read your P&L and your balance sheet. Having someone else define your business in a positive light is always a better way to do that. For example, it's a lot better for me to say James is one of the best IT people that I know than it is for James to say I am the best IT person. And so this is a way that happens in a clearly defined way. Let me give you a few reasons for that. One of them is it's time and you need help budgeting accurately. Hear the word accurate. If you're doing your bookkeeping at a Friday afternoon or Saturday at 3 o'clock, I can assure you your accuracy is not as good as somebody that takes your business seriously and your accounting seriously. You want to make sure that your tax preparation is a yearly consideration. That's really hard to do if you don't know what's happening and what's changing. Number 3, maintain organized records. I know all of you say that you think that file cabinet is organized, but the truth is we need it in electronic form that we can share, and also a buyer can manipulate so that they can either add or subtract in their mind's eye some of the considerations for their future. Number 4, it's really important that you are measuring your targets, your benchmarks against other industry and that is hard to do when you're in the mix of running your actual business. So that benchmarking your business is really important. I'll tell you this, without a budget and benchmarks, you're just guessing. You may think you know, but you're just guessing. Meeting government requirements is an ever-changing scenario, and there's entire groups of professionals out there doing just that. I don't want you spending your time trying to figure that out. I want you running your business correctly. Also, it gives you a peace of mind that you even though you think you've done those numbers right, I've just reviewed 5 or 6 businesses in the last 4 months, and 3 of them, their numbers were not correct. What the owners thought they were doing is not accurate. The expenses were not in the proper place, which means their numbers, their percentages compared with industry benchmarks were not right. And so how they manage the operation has changed because of the new information that they got. Which brings me to one of my things I really like. You really need to be using percentages on your P&L, because sometimes the number is not as important as the percentage of that number, what it represents compared to sales. You will learn a whole lot more about your business and your operation if you will use those percentages. This has been a way for me to help you maximize the value of your small business. It is tip number 1, do not do your own bookkeeping. If you like this information, please feel free to email me. We're going to set up a website and start putting these tips on a weekly basis. Please know that the tips I'm giving here today, they're not specifically my content. I'm just adding my thought process to what I believe somebody's thought process that I agree with. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, and we'll see you next week.